guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Sheila Bet and this is the Sheila Bet Show. As you can see today I have a guest again. Always so happy to have guests on the show. And for the first time ever I have a guy on the show. A male guest on the show. So guys, you can also come and watch my YouTube videos because they're not just for women, they're for everyone. And this is really cool because the conversation we're going to have is basically based on the one I had last week. When I was about to film with Nic about, choosing to be child-free, I decided to ask people on Instagram, and Nic, who is going to introduce himself, basically mentioned why he thinks that being child-free should be a choice and how it differs from being a parent, being a father. So I wanted to talk about that because there's so many cool points that you brought out that I don't think so many people think about. So tell them who you are.
My name is Nic. I am a photographer, a videographer, and I've known Sheila for how many years? It's been 8, 9?
Yeah, just
under
under 10 years.
Yeah, almost a decade. We were in campus together. This is where the world has brought us together to be talking about children. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Yeah. So you kind of answered my question on people who choose to be child-free, and then you had so many different points, and specifically speaking as a father, someone who does have children and knows what that entails. So why do you think, let's kind of start with the child-free part. Why do you think people have to choose to have children or not to have children?
I don't think people understand how much of a responsibility it is to raise a child. You're in charge, fully in charge, and fully responsible for another human being for 20 years.
Yeah, that was interesting. You said 20. Why not 18?
Legally, it's 18.
Yeah.
But they're still kids. They've been sheltered by the law.
Mm-hmm.
They've been sheltered by you for so long, they're just beginning to step out into the real world.
Yeah.
For us, it's after high school.
Yeah.
The first year when they are legally recognized as an adult, they are introduced to freedoms that they did not have before. And your responsibility as a parent is to guide them through that, to set them up for success in the future.
Yeah.
So if you're going to leave them high and dry at that point to figure it out, some will sink, some will swim.
That's so interesting that you mention it. I've always thought about it in the sense of, I don't think kids should go straight from high school and go abroad to study because I feel like they're still children. And so that ties to what you're saying because especially in our system where we go to school, high school especially, we all go to boarding school. So our parents don't have that much of a grip on who we are, how we're evolving, how we're growing into adulthood. So that year being so important is interesting. I feel like we started from the back rather than the beginning. So when did you come into fatherhood and how, if you don't mind?
My son was born in 2014, but he came sooner than we
had wanted.
Yeah, than we planned and wanted. So it was a bit of a surprise, but not 100%. It's
really nice that you already had agreed that you wanted kids and you wanted kids together as well. Because I don't think a lot of people work towards it. It's more of the outside of the norm. The norm is like, you're open to it and then it happens when it happens. So what was your reaction like? How do you think you kind of took this new phase in your life?
It was a bit of a shock at first. Like it doesn't quite click and hit as hard initially. Later on, you process what you've just been told, and that's when it starts dawning on you, you're going to have a child. Then you start thinking about all the things you've done, what haven't you done so far.
And 2014, you were how old?
I was 24.
Still very young. So I can imagine most people are also not yet in that mental state.
Also at that time, I hadn't quite started living as an individual. I was working, but
you'd already graduated from uni.
I was still in uni. Because my university was delayed. There's a lot of unseriousness, you can call it that's going on. Then all of a sudden you have to get serious with life.
You have to grow up.
You have to grow up. So I think that might be one of the points where guys will look at that story. Because they're like, I'm not ready to grow up. You have to, you do not have a choice. You have to start thinking a year from now, because when that baby comes, that baby does not know hakuna pesa.
No.
And maybe I know that we didn't get back today, or you need to start thinking ahead, you need to start preparing yourself. I know it hits very different for the women, because it's not an external thing that, unlike us, it's not an external thing.
Yeah.
It's within.
Yeah.
So your body starts changing
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
Your mind starts changing immediately. So it's a completely different story.
In that sense, women have time to slowly take it in and process it. But
Yeah.
then at the same time, it's like, you're pregnant. How do you feel like that was for you in comparison to your wife?
You become acutely aware of your current situation.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was also just beginning to work.
Yeah.
Like I don't have high ticket clients, and it's an odd job here and there.
Yeah.
So you have to start thinking, okay, so now whatever it is that I'm doing, I need to multiply whatever I'm making tenfold. The way the society or the way things are set up is the man is a wallet. For the previous generation, especially their parents, it's...
Do you feel that's still the case now?
Yeah, we're beginning to learn.
Yeah.
And we're beginning to undo that. But for a lot of people, that is all they know. Because when you look at the interaction with their parents, dad was
the breadwinner,
provider, and it tended that there wasn't a lot of psycho-emotional interaction.
My experience was different. Both my parents worked. My dad probably earned more than my mother. There's a time actually, my mom stayed with my youngest and we moved in with my dad, and he was doing everything because for a period of time we didn't have help. So my dad was the one making us dinner, he was the one getting us ready in the morning. I used to meet people and they'd tell me their dad was someone scary to them, they didn't really interact much with him, he would come home late at night and so on. And I didn't really quite relate to that. But then I also wondered, was my situation very different from most people's?
Your situation, I think, was very different from most people, especially maybe in the urban areas. You might have found a situation like yours a lot more common. But how many urban areas do you have? Majority of the population is
in rural. That's true.
I can only speak to mine, but from some of the interactions I had, not like in high school, a lot of the guys I was with in school, their relationship with their fathers was on either extreme. Either friendly, like dad is involved and all, or he's on the far end, where he's very strict. He comes into the room, you walk out. There's something I read on, I think it was on Twitter, where someone was describing how fathers are unsung heroes because of how things were set up. They'd end up early morning, leave, go work, come back in the evening. The kids are at home with the mom. She's the one doing everything, so they don't get time to bond, to form an emotional bond, the kids and the dad.
So they have it with the mom, but
so they have it with the mom,
the dad.
And that goes on
as
they get older, and it becomes harder and harder. And when the dad tries to create the bond, because these are uncharted territory for him, and even for the kids, they don't know how to navigate it. There's no one to guide them through all of that.
If you're the only one providing for a family, in those days, families were bigger, they were probably 5, 6 and so on. So if this person has the pressure to provide for all these people, by the time they come home, they're not exactly in the mood to chat, and they're probably just tired, and it's just kind of this thing that adds up over time. Do you think a lot of dads try to kind of recover the relationship later in life?
Yeah, some try. Also, when you grow older, you start understanding some of the things that your parents did, some of the things that you went through, the situations that you were put through. You start to see them in a new light because you are an adult, you are a parent. So it makes sense why they did ABCD.
Can you give me an example? Like something that when you became a dad, you realized, oh, this is why. Like, I get why my parents were like this about something.
TV.
Okay.
I never used to understand why our parents used to be so strict about TV time, screen time. And now, when you look at us, even us, like we are slaves to the screen, we are slaves to the phone, to the TV. You get home, turn on the TV absent-mindedly, it's just playing in the background. Why is the TV on? You're not watching.
So how did you guys get to not wanting to even own a television? Were you both agreeing on this?
Yeah, we both agreed we don't want a TV. Like, there's no need. We have a computer that we use for entertainment. All entertainment is online, but also we did not want the TV to be the point of focus in the house. I feel like its presence, even if it's stand up, its presence takes away from the
connecting with your family. I guess it's a distraction.
It's a distraction.
So I realize it's kind of like a crutch that people hold on to, and it affects also how you socialize, because you live with people, you don't even know what's going on with them. You hardly even know them because you always have something else outside of you going on. Do you feel like your kids have a different experience from others, not watching TV the way most kids? I mean, most kids get introduced as babies to television.
I do not believe in using the TV as a nanny. You can, in a pinch. We need to create spaces where social education for men, especially, is made a thing. We talk about things that are affecting us, because women talk, they get together, they go into chats. There's a lot of social support.
You have friends, and when you sit with your friends, you talk about life, you talk about what's going on your day to day, and you kind of talk through things, and it's kind of like therapy. You do have just this natural therapy with your friends. And I've just always wondered if guys are just not inclined to do that. If you have a best friend, it would never come up like you stress about something and you're trying to figure it out and you talk to your friend about it.
With your best friend, most probably, like with one or two friends. But I feel like it needs to be bigger, because there's things that are not common. Like they're sort of universal. There are problems that are universal. You think that this is a problem between me and you. But when you ask someone else, they're having a similar problem. The context is different, but the genesis of the problem is the same. Now, for example, communication. A lot of men struggle with communication. And how do you...
And they're just told, communicate! But what does that mean?
So, talk to someone who's figured out, or who's figuring out, and is maybe like 2-3 steps ahead of you. And they'll be like, when they say communicate, they just simply want you to say like how you feeling, like in more than 3-4 words. Because we were asked, how's it? It was alright, just went to work, came back.
But there are things that happened in between when you went and when you got to work and before you leaving. And also the understanding that, now let's go with communication. Understanding that she's not trying to be intrusive. And she's not investigating things.
You see, it comes back to how men and women are wired differently. For you, detail is important. For me, it's not like I've told you where I left the house, I went to work, then I passed by the barber, and then I came home. People need to learn how to meet each other halfway, learn how the other person works and how they think, so that you meet each other halfway.
So do you feel like you and your wife parent differently? And what do you feel was the expectation of you as a father, and gaps that you kind of saw? Those are like 3 questions.
So do we parent differently? I think we parent differently, but you and your partner have to be on the same page at every time. You have to agree that, for starters, when mom says, mom says. Because kids...
You can't come and try to get a second.
Kids are the most manipulative little shits.
I've heard. I haven't seen it for myself, but I've heard.
Kids are manipulative little shits.
Wow.
And they will work you, and they will work your weaknesses and bend you to their will if you're not careful.
Kids are smarter than you think.
Kids are way smarter than you think. So, you need to have each other's backs. Because they're going to go and ask mom something, and she's going to say no. And they're going to come and ask me the same thing, and I'll say yes.
So you have to be on the same page always.
You have to be on the same. Mama mesema hapana.
So that's how you deal with it. Okay.
Because now they will start introducing conflict between the two of you. And it's not...
The kids can break you if you're not careful.
If you're not careful, the kids will break you, because your styles of parenting are very different. The way you've been brought up, the way you handle and process things is very different. But you need to agree, like, this is the general direction that we're going. You might be very, very, very strict, like your person for order, the order, and the other person is more freestyle.
Yeah.
So you need to find
a balance.
It's very tricky, but you have to. Like marriage is.
I don't like that though. It just sounds like something you don't want anything to do with, you know?
Yeah, relationships are
fun.
It can be fun.
It can be fun, yeah.
But I think it's the awareness that it's.
I mean, life is work. So if you're living, like, there's gonna be stuff you have to do, and you can't just be breezing around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like sometimes there's this big narrative of, oh man, it's such hard work. It's so much work. Where maybe even some people feel like, maybe that's not for me because I just want an easy life. Like I don't want.
There's nothing easy about raising kids. There's nothing easy about raising kids.
Yeah.
But it's very important that the two of you decide what direction you want to go with your parenting.
Yeah.
So that regardless of who is with the kids, you know that they're good, they're in safe hands.
Yeah.
You can't be for TV, like you don't care for what is going on TV.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, I'm like, no, I don't want them watching TV because we can't filter it.
Yeah, that's true.
So they're going to come and ask me, can we watch TV? So I'll say no. Then they come and ask you, can we watch TV? Then you say, yeah, go watch whatever. You find them watching MTV.
Oh, yeah.
You find them watching some adult stuff, like the content that is not meant for kids. But I'm not watch TV. I told you not to. But dad said, but mom said.
Yeah.
And then now you start fighting like, hey, we've agreed, like we said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you needed a crash course before you could be parents? And how did you guys? Did you guys do any kind of any kind of help?
Yeah. Guys have no idea, and there's no one there isn't a space where they can go and learn.
Yeah.
About what having a child entails.
Yeah.
They feel very lost.
Yeah.
I know I was.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
No one tells you how the woman's body is going to change, what to expect, what happens, why it happens.
Do you feel like you needed to know that stuff?
Yeah, I feel like I needed to know, and it would have helped a lot because it also instills a sense of confidence.
Okay.
In what you're doing, so that you're not just shying away, because you're seeing your woman's body changing, you're seeing her mental and emotional state changing every day, every week, every month, and you don't know what to do with that. You don't know how to deal with it.
Okay.
And you're also navigating your own emotions at the same time.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay,
sounds like a scary time.
I don't know what to do with you, so
I'm just gonna focus on me.
Let me do me. And then you find the woman saying that he's not supportive, he's not with me. Like, I feel like I'm doing this all alone, not by myself. The woman, on the other hand, might not even know that the man is also going through his own turmoils internally. And he doesn't know what to do. How is he going to be of help? Like, you're carrying the baby, what can I do other than just provide? See, it comes back to that. The man becomes a wallet. He goes back into what he knows best, what he's seen previously with his uncles, his father, his other relatives, his friends. The best way to show up is make sure there's money, but it goes beyond that. There's a lot
So what do you feel are the gaps that are not being met, especially in terms of the partnership being strong when the woman is pregnant, and ways that guys can plug in that maybe you didn't know about and had to learn along the way, that you can help someone who's maybe going through that now and doesn't even know what to do?
I think find young couples that you can befriend who are in a similar stage to where you are, because you'll realize that some of the problems that you're going through are not unique to you. Maybe unique to the two of you in the context of your relationship, but the base of the problem is the same. Like you mentioned, Lama's classes, some churches will offer PMCC, premarital couples counseling, and also for when you're doing like I think dedication.
So the couples counseling includes also child.
No, that's different. Couples counseling is for the two of you. Then there's the one for the kids. I forget what it's called, but where they tell you how to deal with kids, how to, and of course it's through the lens of your church and your religion, but it provides a sort of template. It gives you a glimpse into what's coming. How to manage the so-called terrible twos. They're called terrible twos because a child is now beginning to gain independence of motion, of thought, of speech, and they know they're trying to communicate, but they are unable to communicate. What happens when you, as a grown-up, feel like you're not being heard?
It's frustrating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they throw a tantrum because they're like, I'm not being heard. Like
I'm trying to say something and you can't hear me.
Like I want to hold the cup myself and drink myself, but you won't let me. So
because you don't want them to make a mess.
But
they do.
But they do.
Yeah.
So kids are a lot, like they're way smarter than we give them credit for.
True.
And it helps a lot to talk to them like people. Like tell them, you might think they don't understand, and sometimes they won't even understand, but the fact that you're making an effort to communicate with them,
it helps.
It helps a lot, because I feel like for us, we were able to manage that too. Well, my son is also his temperament is very chill, but I feel like we were able to manage that very, very, very well.
Okay.
Because you learn that while they may not be able to understand why things are happening. Let's say they want to take a cup. Yeah. It's full of hot tea. They don't know that it's hot. See, you're going to tell them.
They don't even know what hot, like what
they don't know. Yeah, they don't know
hot.
what it means. So you need to explain to them. You don't just tell them no and brush them away. You tell them no because it's hot. See, if they don't understand, take their hand.
And then they feel it.
They feel they're like, okay, that's. So you also start teaching them how to associate words, and like it's a continuous process. Yeah.
It's a very big task, like raising a human being. You know how some things you just think are so obvious, like your senses and knowing what's dangerous and what's not. The fact that you have to teach someone these things, they have zero clue when they're young. It's not something you think about, I guess, until you become a parent. It's like, oh, I was taught, don't touch the fire, don't do this because it's gonna harm me. And and then you see a kid crying and screaming because they want to do something dangerous, and you're like, but it doesn't make sense, but they don't know.
You need to explain to them. And also that newly found sense of independence. It's exciting. They want to explore. They want to exert their independence. So if you let them, they're going to walk all over you. You see kids in the supermarket going trashing shelves and like rolling on the floor.
And you think they're spoiled brats, are they?
They think they're spoiled brats, but they're trying to communicate.
They don't have the right language or even the manners, I guess, like to know, oh, this is appropriate, this isn't. They're just trying different things to see what works.
And if that is what gets them a reaction, and they'll keep doing it. So you need to learn how to communicate with them, and it keeps changing as they grow older.
There's something interesting that you mentioned when we were chatting about kind of how the difference between how a guy processes just this first stage of conception, like when a woman says I'm pregnant, and how different guys process it. And you also mentioned that this kind of affects how the guy reacts, whether he stays or he doesn't, and whether he accepts it or doesn't. How do you explain that, like for people who are not men and don't get it? Like how does this thing happen in their head where they feel like maybe I have an out and I don't have to be involved in this because it's a little too much for me? Does it have anything to do with how society has prepared them as men to be fathers?
Yes to that.
Okay.
And it's such a multifaceted thing. The kind of people that you've been around, are they people who are responsible? First of all, are they people, something happens and they duck that story? See, it goes back to
what's your background?
What's your background? How have you come up? Are you a kind of person who takes responsibility for your actions? Also, have you, because for some people
that actually applies,
they've been sheltered from sex for so long. I think it's just how we've been raised, our culture, our association with the topic. It needs to stop being such a taboo and such a forbidden subject. Because sex is what every adult does. It's how we get kids. And it's one of the ways to show intimacy. So it should not be like something that is forbidden. Like you don't even want to talk about it. Like,
so do you have like an age when you start to slowly introduce this idea to kids so that they, when they need the information, at least they have something to work with? Because I feel like that's a big debate.
Yeah, that's a tricky.
Yeah, like how early, you know?
Because you see, kids will start asking about reproduction very early on. So the thing is, don't lie, first of all.
Yeah.
Don't lie about it.
Tell them about that.
And there should be no shame in the science and the biology of it. So they'll reach a point where they're going to ask, why do I have something sticking out and girls don't?
Yeah.
Now that's why you start explaining things very simply. Don't
you're boys and girls are different. And
you tell them that boys and girls are made different. Like the boys have a pee-pee, girls don't. And it's that's how their bodies are made. Yeah. And you gauge and see, are they satisfied with that answer? Or do they want
they could ask more, yeah.
If they want to ask more, be very scientific, you're very biological.
Yeah.
You're going to start telling them.
Because that doesn't change.
That doesn't change.
Yeah.
So give them an answer that will satisfy them at that point. Yeah. Then later on.
And so you don't have to go into a full-on lecture.
No.
Yeah. I'm getting tips, by the way.
Time for a lecture will come later.
Yeah.
So later on, there'll be how a baby is made. You'll be like, well, when a man and a woman, because you see where it explains.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
So what happens?
Yeah.
This,
you don't give them the technical, okay.
No, you don't give them.
Okay.
No, of course you. You can even use like animals to demo, because you see it's the same thing.
So you actually show them a video of animals mating?
They probably have seen it.
Oh, they probably have, Nat Geo and stuff.
They're watching Nat Geo, they're watching,
that's true.
So it'll be like, so you see how this happens with the sheep. Yeah. It's very similar for human beings. The man and the woman, they get together and...
That's quite clear.
It's,
Okay.
And because you used an analogy from the animals, it becomes a lot easier. You don't have to get into the nuances of love, of intimacy, and like it's very biological.
Interesting.
And kids are very
straight. So just matter of fact, like
it's a matter of fact.
Oh, and they love each other, blah blah blah.
No, because
you don't bring that in yet.
Kids are very black and white. Kids do not have
very
gray
interesting.
areas.
Yeah.
You probably had these jokes for you tell a child that someone is knocking.
Yeah.
And no one be a sicko. They're going to say, I'm a sema, you go.
Yeah, they're very very literal.
Yeah.
Very literal.
So kids don't have grey areas.
Yeah.
It's black or white.
Yeah.
Time for grey area will come later. I think the mother is expected to be there full time, 100%, give up everything. Like your focus is the kids, which if she wants that, it's cool. I don't think it would be fair to put that on them like 100%.
Yeah.
Because you see, first of all, you are an individual. You are Sheila before you are a mother. And a lot of people forget that they are an individual before they are a mother. The individual makes the mother, not the mother who makes the individual.
No.
Yeah.
The mother is secondary to the individual.
Yeah. People need to give themselves space to be individuals. And there's also the danger of once the kids have left the nest, then what?
Who are you?
Who are you? Like are you going to start discovering yourself then, like afresh?
And then how do you even develop them as people if you don't have your own personal identity?
Yeah.
Especially in our culture, in African culture. Small things like how can people call you by your name?
Yeah.
Is it now wrong for them to call you by your name? Because have I stopped being Sheila? Is there something wrong with maybe my friend's kids or my sister's kids calling me just Sheila? I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
There's two of my friends who I met their moms in a professional capacity.
Yeah.
So you're referring to her by her name as a client.
Yeah.
But now when you meet at the house in a social setting, remember I asked, like, am I going to call you Mama Noni or do I call you? She was like, no. Hey, who did I introduce myself as?
Yeah.
Call me by that name. It speaks a lot to identity and...
Yeah. Do you feel like your identity changed when you became a father?
Yeah. I feel like I lost a bit of myself. I didn't know what I was doing then. So like I know a lot more now.
I mean, you know a lot more for sure.
Okay,
I can tell you that much.
I know a bit more.
Yeah.
But just winging it.
Yeah.
And I feel like at the time, I didn't know how to preserve myself as an individual.
And you were so young.
Yeah. And now that I am aware, I'm trying to get back parts of me.
Okay.
But it becomes a lot harder because now these are what, like 5 years. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. But it's interesting, you can rediscover yourself and you might actually enjoy the process.
It will be different for every person, but don't lose your friends. Don't seclude yourself so much. Because while your situation has changed, and like your friends who are single or who don't have kids might not understand what that means. It's up to you, first of all, to educate them for the sake of those coming, so that you can create a space for such a conversation. Because I remember there's someone who once came to me, like there's a group of guys that were in and he was expecting. And he called me, like we were somewhere at a gathering, and then he called me and said, he was like, dude, like, so now my girlfriend is expecting. And me, I'm freaking out. I hope I helped him think things through and see that he'll be fine, like it's,
Gosh, you know, it's so crazy to think that that just might be the line between someone staying, like sticking it out and making it work, and someone just thinking, this is too much, I can't handle it. So I think what you're basically saying is people need to have people they can look at, and they survive this and they're doing okay, and talk to them and kind of help them calm down and see that they can get through stuff like this. I would be very curious actually to also have conversations with people who, you know, either ended up being single, whether it's single mom, single dad. It's much more common to find single moms. Maybe you got a girl pregnant when you guys were young, and then you disappeared, and what the process has been so far and how you would do things differently. Because I feel like people think about these things, but it's only talked about in a certain tone, you know? For example, a woman saying, oh, the dad kind of abandoned the kids, but nobody tries to understand, oh, what happened with this guy and where is he at now? Or guys who show up later and they're like, okay, I've really figured out that I made a mistake and I want to be part of the kid's life, and then there's kind of an expiry date where it's like, sorry, you weren't there when you were most needed, so now you're completely not allowed in. So I think this is very important for people to kind of hear from guys who have been through it and kind of have some guidance, you know, have some idea of there's ways to work around this, and it's difficult for everyone, and everyone is still trying to figure it out. Nobody knows, you know?
I'd also like to hear from someone who tried to go back later. You know, what changed? Why did they have the change of heart? Why did they take up responsibility then? I think that would be a very interesting
But you know, in a way, don't you think going back is even more brave? Because if you left, it'll take a lot for you to even be accepted back. So I think it's better to go back than to just completely say, you know what, I messed up and there's no remedy here. Anyway, guys, this was so interesting talking about fatherhood. I mean, it just stemmed from me asking about child-free people, and then it became a whole conversation. And I just realized that people don't really talk about the father side of things. Even when you think about things like a baby shower, quite often it doesn't include men, and I never understood why, because he's part of the process and he needs to be in the center of it a lot more than the friends of the woman and so on. So maybe we can start to rethink some of these things and do it a bit more differently and include guys a lot more. Then we can expect more from them, because they also feel that sense of they're included and there is more expected of them. Thanks for coming and chatting to me about fatherhood. And I'd love to hear from you guys, fathers out there, those who are expecting. How are you navigating it? Are you trying to do things differently from maybe how you found things when you were growing up, or as you continue to grow up? I'd love to hear from you guys. Until next time, have a